And thank you for spending half of your morning with us today. Again, my name is Kevin Protessa. I run sales for Tookitaki based in Singapore. And hide and seek, as Rosie mentioned, is something that we focus entirely on at Tookitaki. And we've chosen to focus on regulatory compliance within banks. Now, why have we chosen machine learning as our platform? Machine learning is not a new concept. In fact, it's been around since the 40s and 50s. But interestingly enough, over the last couple of years, we're seeing that the accuracy rates of machines has now surpassed that of what we can do as human beings. So in fact, it's the ideal time to leverage a technology like machine learning to be able to complement what we do as human beings. So what is the market opportunity? We heard earlier Mr. Chan talked about in Hong Kong, the market cap is $4 trillion US dollars. Nearly half that amount, or $2 trillion US dollars, is laundered through the global financial system today. What that leads to is a global RegTech market that is absolutely booming. So we're expecting that the global RegTech market will actually grow 7x in the next 5 years. And to be specific, banks on an annual basis spend over 50 million US dollars on KYC compliance alone. So what are the specific challenges that Tookitaki sets out to solve? First, in anti-money laundering, or AML, we look at alerts management, and specifically around money laundering being a very dynamic practice. What we see is that banks are actually deploying rule-based systems which are largely single-dimensional in their detection logic. What happens when you try to detect a dynamic pattern with single-dimensional detection logic? What happens is you get massive volumes of alerts, which in and of itself is not the issue. Even smaller regional banks based in Singapore and Thailand will witness 50,000, 70,000 alerts per month. What happens is that over 95% of these alerts are false positives. So what the banks end up doing is hiring more and more humans to try to keep up with the backlogs and aging of different alerts that happen in the bank. What that directly translates to is high risk for the actual financial institution. If we move outside of the compliance area and we move into finance and operations, we see a very similar phenomenon within bank reconciliations. So all of us sitting around the room work at banks or financial institutions where there are several, maybe hundreds of different types of reconciliations: credit card, cash, ATM, front office, back office. And these types of reconciliations are also being solved using rule-based systems and sometimes even Excel and VBA. The good news is that those systems can automatically match somewhere between 60 and 95% of the transactions. The bad news is that when you look at the volumes again, even one of our smaller customers based out of Singapore that does 5 million transactions a day on one reconciliation area employs a team of nearly 100 human beings to manually reconcile 200,000 transactions per day. 200,000 transactions per day. Now, when we look at the effort required to manually match just 5% of their transactions, it's taking 85 or 90% of the actual manpower needed to be able to do this. Basel III regulations stipulate that full reconciliation needs to be done on all capital elements on a consistent basis. So in fact, if your reconciliation teams today are having backlog or aging of their actual reconciliation transactions, you're likely out of compliance. How is Tookitaki uniquely poised to solve these issues? Simply 4 areas. Number 1, we are one of the only, if not maybe one of the few, AI machine learning platforms that is fully explainable. What that means, and how we were given an award at the Monetary Authority of Singapore in 2016, is because every one of our predictions is fully explainable. Every one of the actions and models that we use to make those predictions is completely auditable, which is extremely important for third-party auditors and regulators that come in and look at our environments. Secondly, the accuracy of our predictions. We're able to provide upwards of 99% accuracy, and we do that by using or leveraging a semi-supervised learning algorithm. What that means is a supervised learning algorithm for your actual historical data, so the data that's in the bank, the transactional data, the alerted data, and an unsupervised learning to capture the new information that human beings, investigators, reconcilers find out and want to feed back into the system. That self-learning or auto-learning is very important in any type of model. In the examples today with rule-based systems, we typically take 3, 6, and sometimes even 9 months to make changes to the rules that are hard-coded in the system. With a machine learning solution, that can be done immediately and real time. Finally, seamless integration. For the vast majority of our clients, we are asked to coexist with the existing rule-based systems that are in place. So while we can afford numerous areas such as operational efficiencies, reduction in time, we can do that in a way that we can actually do it smoothly and not have to break up the current processes within the bank. Finally, in terms of business value, 2 of the actual cases that we've actually released to the press recently are around UOB and transaction monitoring. So in their KYC space, we were able to reduce their false positives by nearly 50 to 60%. In the transaction monitoring area, beyond just reducing false alerts, we're able to increase true alerts. Specifically, in a 3-month production data window, we were able to find 23 unknown cases that the existing systems completely missed out, 9 of which were filed as STRs, or suspicious transaction reports, with the regulator. And similarly, on the reconciliation side, we're able to provide a more comprehensive, robust system that moves beyond just matching into exception handling as well as adjustment predictions. And finally, with regards to the organization and the last 3 months that we've spent in the program, our revenue has been coming in at a 300% year-over-year rate. We've secured our Series A funding. From an expansion standpoint, we've realized in talking to a number of you all as financial institutions that we need strategic hiring around product as well as around deployment and services. We have clients across 3 continents, and we've opened offices to support those clients in Singapore, India, and the US. And finally, success to us looks like this. We've got 6 pilots, 2 from this program in flight today, 2 production clients, both are referenceable. And our sincere goal is to be able to satisfy 4 to 6 additional clients in production in the next 12 months. We are 100% focused on customer referenceability, and we are laser focused on execution as well as scalability of our operations. I thank you for your time this morning, and I welcome the opportunity to revolutionize your regulatory compliance with Tookitaki. Thank you.